That's it's an interesting way to look at it, and I think you're absolutely right. I think there's some real value if you can see things quicker that are going to be fundamentally what can move you forward.
Hmm.
Like, again, we know money moves companies forward. They need capital, they need people. If they get money from the right partner, that's one big brick, right? Big block. But with our organization, let's say it's tenacity. Tenacity is a strong characteristic that if you have it, that's one building block for success in our organization. If you don't, you won't last.
Mhm.
And if I have the ability to look and see that box checked, that's where it could really make a big difference.
I love that. I love it a lot. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Learning podcast. My name is Joao Camargo, and my guest here today is Holly Scott, who is a VP and partner of the Mullings Group. Holly, thank you so much for being here today, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Joao. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, I'm super excited as well. And I would love to start off the exact same way that I start every single one of these conversations, which is just the guests sharing a little bit more about who they are, what they do, a little bit more about the company. And I often started adding this now as well. What's the bigger problem that you guys solve? So why don't we start off there?
I love that. Okay, so the Mullings Group, we are the world's largest search firm, media, and advisory service organization dedicated to the MedTech, HealthTech space. So we build companies and we build careers within this space. We started over 3 decades ago, primarily in search, executive search, building organizations, whether it was R&D engineers, regulatory specialists, product managers, sales reps. Well, the fun thing about doing this for a long time is the individuals that you work with early on grow up in their career and now they're building and running companies. So we work everything from executive suite, C-suite level roles to every functional area that supports health tech and med tech organizations globally.
Amazing. Tell me a little bit more about that engagement. Where, first of all, how did this even come to be? How did this become a thing? Tell me a little bit more about the origin story that sparked everything. And then someone is interested, they have that conversation with you guys. Where do we go from there? How does that dynamic work?
Sure. So, and that kind of comes back to the problem statement, right? The problem we're looking to solve. So, um, especially I can look back over almost 3 decades in the business, and recruiting has been around for many years. You know, people need people.
Yeah.
When you're building a company, there's 2 things that typically drive success, and it's people and money, and you need both.
Yeah.
And that's since, as long as we can all remember. So search, as it was defined way back when, was we need this specialized talent. We got to find them. It would be ideal if they have an idea of, or if they have experience from a competing company or technology so they can hit the ground running and so on. Well, that knowing the business from when ads were run to now where we're at today, the market of recruiting and the problem that we have solved or we continue to solve on a daily basis is much more dynamic because it used to be that people were hard to find.
Mhm.
And it used to be that the talent that you needed was hard to find. Now the issue is not finding people, it's having them engage with your organization.
Hmm.
So we became much more sophisticated of a search partner in building companies along the way because we realized in order to tap on the shoulder the individual of interest that has the right skill set that we're looking to bring on board, it took more than just getting their attention in a way of saying, hey, we've got this role. It's really what story is the company telling? What value do they bring to the market? What's the mission of the organization?
Mhm.
Who are the leaders that are going to bring us there? And what will I become? Who will I become by way of this experience? So we became over the years through thousands and thousands of conversations and repetitions and understanding of the market, experts in human behavior around career development.
Mhm.
So, with that being the center of everything we do, we study the industry, we study market trends, and we realize that opportunity occurs at the intersection of what the market cares about, what medical healthcare concerns we're looking to tackle and drive,
Mhm.
and where things are being financed, where money is, and going towards that, because that's where companies are being built And if companies are being built and companies grow, so does the individual that sits within them. So that's a very short way of sharing the road that we've had for 3 decades. But I will just point to one very, very important piece of
Please.
that was the implementation of the media company.
Okay.
And that was in response to the changing dynamics of building companies
Hmm.
and looking at a way to get awareness and attention of individuals who we no longer had to tap on the shoulder to say, hey, look at this, because they had so much coming at them. There was just so much information. It was about rising above the white noise and speaking to them in a meaningful way. So if we had stealth projects, it was a way to talk about what their technology was and what the market was without giving away trade secrets. So it's been a very interesting add-on, and we are the only firm that has our own in-house studio and media and marketing team committed to lifting the efforts within the MedTech and HealthTech sector.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that. It's really, really exciting. And it almost sounds like there was a huge dynamic shift from, hey, how can we just look at all these skills to now how can we make sure that everything is aligned? So it went from like a skills vision to an alignment vision for a lot of these people coming through, and how that actually combines with the goal that they have for themselves and also for the company that they might be hopping into. Is that I know that that doesn't do justice for everything that you just said, but at a general sense, that kind of seems like the dynamic that happened. Is that right?
Yeah, certainly, because you think about, again, going back to, let's say, pre-digital days, when recruiting was, we need the skills, and then it went to, with digital add-on and tools, let's look for those skills by sorting through resumes and through paper. So it was actually finding the individuals. So finding got easier over time. We'd have to make a ton of phone calls. Our base, when I started in the business, we made phone calls all day long, talking with individuals from books
Mm.
that were with companies and saying, who leads the R&D effort in this particular catheter development plan? Who's driving the ocular implant technology at this particular device company? That was the cold outreach. So we did that all day long. What happened is that the transition of the business, then it got easier to find people.
Yeah.
And that was when it got easier to find people, there was a concern in search that we would no longer be needed as recruiters because, hey, all of a sudden there's platforms where you can throw things out on Indeed and, in digital, there's digital tools to find the people.
Yeah. But it
Well,
wasn't enough.
because I can find out that you host a podcast, and I can find out that your business is around AI acceleration within developing businesses, but that doesn't mean you're going to talk to me and want to come work with me. Just
Sure.
because you do what I want, what I'm looking for, doesn't mean you're going to make a move over to
Mm.
our organization. So we are the extension of the organization that taps you on the shoulder and say, you know what, Joan, we haven't talked about you looking at new opportunities, but I'd love to share with you detail about this particular role. Let's talk about what you're interested in career-wise, where your development is, and
Mhm.
and what you would like to do in the next, say, 3, 5, 7 years. And let's see if we have something that may make
Mm.
sense. So we're looking at the journey, and we're the last mile. We're the touch. We're the connector, and that facet hasn't changed. It's the modes, the tools, those pieces have changed
Yeah.
dramatically over the years. And to some effect, it's put a lot of recruiters out of business, because if you don't know how to tell stories and you don't have that effective level of trust with your story,
Mhm.
there's too much out there. Our attention span as humans is much shorter, and we're able to make decisions in a much quicker fashion than ever before.
Mhm.
So you have 30 seconds or less to make an impact on whether this person's going to talk with you or not.
Mhm.
So that is where our craft has been honed, and the recruiting process, there's more expertise required on actually getting the call to transition to a live discussion and let's really think through whether this is a logical move for you career-wise.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with the story part. I think so many companies just focus on everything that they do, how special they are, and then me. But then how can we actually translate that over to the things that the clients and the use case scenarios actually care about, the outcome that they're looking for, which is the most important thing. Business 101, but I think as leaders, sometimes that goes over everybody's head. I would actually love also to take something that you said a little bit earlier here. You said when ads were being run, and I wanted to tie that into a question or even just a little bit of a shift in our conversation here. Something that I always like to highlight in these podcasts is that business is not just sunshines and rainbows, right? Looking from the outside, someone can look in like, oh yeah, that company is doing 10, 20, 50, 100 million. They're doing amazing. But then we know that internally as leaders, there's many challenges along the way. So it sounds like there was a little bit of a challenge shift when you talked about the when ads were being run and how that changed now. So I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the challenges that you guys face on a day-to-day basis into growing the company and finding a lot more opportunities coming through as well?
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. We need a lot more than 20 minutes to talk about
Yeah.
the challenges to get here. Yeah, we are incredibly proud of the success that we enjoy, and more than even the numbers and the financials, it's the reputation that we continually have to really serve and ensure is protected, and because we are a trusted and respected firm in the space.
Hmm.
So credibility is incredibly important. So when you
Yes.
think about the road to get here and you think about 30 years ago and the transition from ads to and the challenges associated with it, we I'm thankful to my partner Joe Mullings. First of all, he is a visionary that could see behind the corners.
Hmm.
So when it became a market of individuals going from passively receiving calls and transitioning on the phone, we had to figure out a mechanism to engage individuals in a different way, and get that respect and credibility bespoken about our organization,
Yeah.
and that in itself was a lofty build. And his vision was, if we build the media company, we can speak to the thousands and thousands of individuals we've spoken to over the years. We can demystify career development, because we sit in the middle. You don't go to college and learn how to manage your career. You don't. You go to college and learn a skill. You if that these days. But at the end of the day, uh,
That's another conversation.
whole other conversation. But the reality is, no one tells you how to be successful
Mhm.
in a classic sense. So when we see practically what works by working with C-suite individuals, working with leaders who build companies, working with engineers, innovators who've transacted multiple companies, it's been a joy and a gift to be able to privilege to really be able to share those stories and share with individuals who aspire to grow along those tracks.
Mhm.
So the whole shift of empowering us as more than headhunters. I don't care what you call us. You can call us headhunters, but the old mantra of, you're just looking for somebody, a butt for a seat kind of a thing. It's really more of a consultancy and a practice, because you're going to come into an organization, and what you bring to the table has got to feed you career-wise. It's also got to feed the success roadmap of the organization.
Yeah.
So that bidirectional path, the challenges were thinking of how we were going to do it,
Mm.
putting in place the the plan, the architecting the actual process to do it,
Mhm.
and then, as most of our clients deal with, finding the right team to do it.
Mhm.
Because I still say to this day, my hardest search is finding people who are going to make very good search consultants in our organization. It's
Mm.
it's an art and a science, and that's a tough one. But we have gotten to a point where we've again got a process to it that seems to work pretty well.
Oh, that's so awesome. And it's interesting because just saying, hey, we just need to have butts and seats, like, yeah, but then that just goes back to the initial problem, which is you need the right person in the right seat, not just a person in that seat. Because if it's just a person, we can just go do the search. Everybody can find people, right? That's not the difficult part. The difficult is finding the right person. So thank you so much for highlighting that as well. I wanted to ask a question, Holly, that I often ask the guests in the podcast as well. I think it just takes away the cap for ceiling and you just go wherever you want with the answer. And I think it would actually be very fitting for this this lane that we're in here right now. So here's the question. If you had an amazing magic wand that could just solve one challenge, an obstacle, hurdle, whatever you like to call it in the business, sounds like that finding that right person is one of those. Let's say actually that another one solved that one. Looking at the growth, looking at the vision that you have, the client acquisition goals, the revenue goals, whatever it might be, those targets. I think oftentimes as leaders, we're so focused on a million different priorities. But for this one, you just get one. You wave that one thing gets solved, all the growth goals, the targets, everything that you have internally happens. What would be the one thing you'd like to solve?
Oh, that's a good one. And I want to answer it in two ways
Okay.
because there's our individual business as the Mullings Group companies and what we're doing. And then there's the industry challenge that I see because I build so many companies with partners out there. And I could speak to a kind of a common challenge there.
Yeah.
I'll go there first because frankly, that might be a little bit easier. In our sector, in the MedTech HealthTech sector, there's a challenge to, and I'm gonna generally say raise capital, but I'm going to more precisely say raise capital with the right partnership.
Hmm.
So it's a constant. They're in fundraising mode. They're getting capital. They're getting secure. They're raising money. And sometimes they end up at the whim of who's willing to invest. And sometimes the investors are at the whim of timelines associated with their portfolio and they have to spend at a certain time. So I think there's something to be said for a more precise way to set the table for investors and young companies
Mm-hmm.
to get together. And there's some activity going on to perfect that. And I see it happening, but I think if I could again use the wand there, that would be ideal because the people would get the investment from the right places at the right time, and the investors would have exactly the right level of interest
Mm-hmm.
and ability
Clarity.
to lean in.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's at the macro level.
Mm-hmm.
Within our organization, I believe it would be coming back to a because we are a service firm and we are built by our individual relationships.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be said for each person has a level of magic that they bring to the organization. My style may be very different from another style.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain aspects though, and it's taken 3 decades to figure out, what really works that I call kind of the block and tackle measures for success.
Okay.
So if I had the magic wand, I would be able to see immediately, does someone have those fundamental blocks for success and ensure that that's set day one.
Mm.
So we're not working on that certainty for a certain period of time and that diligence process for a certain period of time. And then we can build a lot faster, build on their individuality and build on their magic that makes them unique and individual on our team.
Mm. It sounds like they're actually kind of intertwined in a way. And I think you said that, right? Because if you have then that clarity, just like the funding partners and whatever, they have that from the get-go, then the partnership engagement starts on the right foot from day one. So if that happens internally for whatever it is, the business development, the sales, the systems team that you guys have internally, whatever, the consultants, right? All of those different lanes, if from day one that's all set, magic one is solving those problems, then the partnership engagement and the business as a result grows exponentially much faster. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it, and I think you're absolutely right. I think there's some real there's some real value if you can see things quicker that are going to be fundamentally what can move you forward.
Hmm.
Like again, we know money moves companies forward. They need capital, they need people. If they get money from the right partner, that's one big brick, right? Big block. With our organization, let's say it's tenacity. Tenacity is a strong characteristic that if you have it, that's one building block for success in our organization. If you don't, you won't last.
Mhm.
And if I have the ability to look and see that box checked, that's where it could really make a big difference.
I love that. I love it a lot. And I have one final question for you here, Holly, which is a bit of a shame, as you said. It's a little bit too short for so many things that I love to keep going and ask. And I'm sure we could be here for hours. But I do have one final question, and it's actually not a question from me. It's a question from our last guest to you, and they had absolutely no idea who you were. So here's the question. You ready for it?
Sure.
This is a bit of a long one, so stick with me here. Thinking about where you are today, was there ever a situation where you gave your family the comment, "Oh, I'll make it up to you another time," when you could have easily put things off in business for another day and spent time with them instead? And then they made sure to add, "Do not lie to yourself."
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there some, so I want to make sure I'm clear because there was a piece of that caught me. Was there a time where I put off a family
Yes.
issue for a business issue?
Yeah. Or just
And
family attention, not even just
uh-huh.
issue. Yeah.
Okay. So I think attention is that kind of pops it into reality. Yeah, I spent a lot of time with family early in my career. I would say I've gotten better at it. Still not perfect. I think this is still a work in progress. But
Mm.
my business is 24/7. My business is 24/7. It's always operating. So there were many times that my young sons, my young boys, were right in front of me, and I was not with them because I was mentally somewhere else. And work wise, that was my priority in the moment.
Mhm.
And in those moments, I do wish that I hadn't been as absent because I realized in things that they would say or the way they would say things that they did notice and I didn't think that they had, you know? So those were some things that I would have liked to rewind and do differently. And realistically, if you work on it, which I've had to over the years, being present when you're working and being present when you're home, you can manage appropriately and you
Mhm.
can still work I still work the hours and put in the time that I need to drive our business. And I have a family that I see just about every day, just based on where everybody's at and what they're doing. But it really is a way of titrating the time and the quality and realizing that it is so incredibly easy to get distracted and sucked into whatever is coming at you unless you practice being in the moment. And that's really important. That's really important.
I love that. Holly
Yeah.
Scott, everybody. Thank you so much for your time, Holly. This has been so incredible, so insightful. Where should people go if they want to learn a little bit more about you? And of course, also a little bit more about the business.
Sure. So LinkedIn is our party platform for sure. Holly Scott on LinkedIn and the Mullings Group companies. We are search, media, and advisory within MedTech, HealthTech, and life sciences. So connect with me. I accept all requests and would love to hear from you about your own career interests.
Amazing. I will leave as many links as I can down below here if you want to check that out. And if you enjoyed listening to this conversation, you want to hear more conversations like this, please also hit the subscribe button and I will see you on the next episode. Holly, thanks again for your time.
Thanks, Joelle. Great talking with you. Take care.
Thank you.